Hi, everybody. Welcome to Christian Homestead. My name is Jared. I saw this church news post on social media. It says President Nelson turns 101 in 3 weeks. And that got me thinking. It feels like I haven't been talking very much about President Nelson, relatively speaking, when you compare this year to other years. And so the question that I asked myself was, what happened? What's going on? Because I remember times where it seemed like every video I was doing, we were talking about President Nelson. We noticed all these really interesting things about his presidency, his communication style, and lots and lots and lots of little details. And, he's the president of the church that has spoken the most about the second coming. And so we're really interested in that. That's, the focus of this channel. We're looking for signs of the times. We're thinking about the second coming, the doctrine, church news, the current president of the church. And he has just given us so much. But in 2025, it feels like it just kind of tapered off. So what's going on? Well, I have some what I think are interesting observations. So the last time, I believe, unless I missed something, the last time that we've heard him talk about the second coming directly, not being quoted by somebody else, was in this last general conference, April 2025, in his talk called Confidence in the Presence of God. There's this part, which I have read this a million times, where he says, regular worship in the house of the Lord increases our capacity for both virtue and charity. That's a key concept because he says these two things are the key to being confident in the presence of God. And there's many ways that you can be in the presence of God, but I think he might be telling us that specifically to help us prepare for the second coming. Because look what he says right after this. Thus, time in the temple increases our confidence before the Lord. Increased time in the temple will help us prepare for the second coming of our Savior, Jesus Christ. We do not know the day or the hour of his coming, but I do know that the Lord is prompting me to urge us to get ready for that great and dreadful day. And then, if we go to the end of his talk, he ends the talk by referencing the second coming. He says, I testify that Jesus Christ, the Redeemer of Israel, leads this, his church. He is preparing to come again. May we likewise prepare to receive him. That's how he ends this talk, where the name of the talk is called Confidence in the Presence of God. And he gives us essentially the answers to the test of being confident in the presence of Christ when he comes. Virtue and charity. Okay, so let's look at some spreadsheets now. This is my spreadsheet called Quotes Second Coming. And somehow I hadn't added what we just read to this spreadsheet. So I went ahead, I added it. He said that on April 6th, the Sunday of General Conference. I feel like it was a significant General Conference for a lot of reasons, but that's not the point of this video. That's an entirely different video. So before this, before what he said in General Conference, the most recent quote that I have from him directly is from November 10th of 2024. Now, this is kind of where things start to get interesting. Okay, you'll notice that this is like at the end of last year. At the end of last year. This is when things seem to start to go quiet, as you're about to see. I don't know that there's a reason for this. Maybe he had mostly what he had to say about the second coming in the October 2024 General Conference. And so we're supposed to just really think about that and observe everything that's happening in the church. I don't know. But this is the second most recent thing that I have on the spreadsheet. This is a social media post. November 10th, 2024. He's talking about the dedication of the Deseret Peak, Utah temple. And I'm just going to read this part right here. The Desert Peak Temple will be the 200th in the world. Just think of it. It took the church until the year 2000 to dedicate the first 100 temples. And now, just 24 years later, we are dedicating the second 100. The Lord is truly hastening his work. I am filled with gratitude for the Lord's mercy in guiding us to bring temples closer to members of the church throughout the world. Okay, so his general conference talk and then this social media post, which has reference to the hastening. In fact, I just realized that right now. We need to add that as one of the topics. Hastening. Hastening growth in temples. Okay, so that's what I have for quotes. Now, let's take a look at this really quick. This spreadsheet is called Profits, President Nelson's Social Media. I created this because there was one time, I think it was probably back here in July and August of 2024, he had gone 2 months without posting anything on social media. And I didn't want to just assume that something was wrong or something was out of the ordinary. I wanted to verify. And so I went back and I found all the times that he posted on social media. That's what you see here. And it wasn't entirely out of the ordinary for him. I just got the numbers for his presidency, not President Monson. And yeah, I don't think, Facebook and Instagram became a thing during President Monson's presidency, I'm pretty sure. So not President Hinckley. Okay, so this is how it goes with his social media. As you might expect, his first 2 years, there were a lot of posts, more especially in 2019. And then in 2020, it kind of started to taper off. There was still a lot. But it was in 2020 of all years that we have a month where he didn't post anything. It was July of 2020. After that, we had 2 months in a row in 2021, and we had even less posts at that point. And then 2022 was pretty erratic, and we had 4 months without a social media post. You may be thinking like, oh, what's the big deal? Well, it's a big deal because he's talking to millions of people. You know, we have all the other apostles. They all have social media accounts, and some of the other general authorities and general officers of the church. But we all know that the one person that everybody like really prioritizes and pays attention to is the prophet. So anything he says is important. He's continually receiving revelation and delivering that to the church. So it's important. It's important. So anyway, 2022, we had 4 months without social media posts. So that was pretty unusual. 2023, here we have another 2 months in a row, February and March, no posts. And then starting on, I'll have to double check, but I think it was on September 21st. Was it? Yeah, I think it was September 21st of 2023. He started doing this thing on social media with sevens. Like he would do a social media post and repeat a key word or name or names or titles 7 times in the post. And it happened 7 months in a row, as you can see. We'll get to that in just a minute because that plays into all this. Okay, so something really interesting was going on there. It ended in March of 2024, the very month where the Kirtland Temple came back into the church. I don't know that these two things are related, but that's how it played out. These are the facts. This series of 7 months in a row, it ended in that month. And then it stopped in April, and then it continued for just 2 months. In May and June. And then after that, we had 2 months in a row of no social media posts. Well, 2025 is not over yet. And so far we've had a post every single month. For the month of July, we didn't have a regular post, but there was a reel. So like a video, a short on Facebook and Instagram. Okay, so this is what things are looking like here. Over time, you would expect this as he's getting older, about to turn 101. We're only getting basically like on average about one social media post a month. And we'll see if there's any months that are skipped this year. But let's move on to sevens. Okay. The thing that caught my eye, let me zoom in. The thing that caught my eye is the last time that we have a 7 where like a word or phrase or pronouns or something like that is repeated that I know of. If you have more, please send it my way. But it has to be pretty clear. I don't go for things that are like too ambiguous or you have to like really shoehorn it. I'd like for it to be pretty clear. But the last time that we have a regular one of those was a first presidency message. This was the 2024 Christmas message. And the thing that was repeated 7 times was pronouns of Christ. So he, his, he, and then so on. And you can see the color coding right here. Here's the last one. It's kind of hard to see. It's in gray. But 7 times, okay? And he's done this many, many, many times. You know, in June of last year, it was 1. He repeated the word 1 7 times. In May, it was women. In March, on the other side of April, going back, in March, it was women again, or identifiers for women. Love, marvel, titles of Christ, prayers. And then it goes back even before what he did on social media. He's done it in talks. He's also done like things like his first general conference. Let's see, where is it? Well, the first year as president of the church, he went to 7 countries on a global ministries tour, like 7 countries outside the United States, which included Israel, by the way. He went to Jerusalem. Oh yeah, here it is. And his first general conference as president of the church, he announced 7 temples. And anyway, there's so much more I could show you, but the thing I want to call your attention to is after November, we don't have any more. We have this from this last general conference. It's not quite the same because it's not him repeating something or announcing something, but my friend Tyler Cragen with the Greatest Cause channel, he noticed that during the live stream of General Conference, it was timed in such a way that President Nelson's talk started exactly at the 7-hour mark. Exactly. The live stream. They timed it, and that's how it played out. He began speaking exactly at the 7-hour mark. So, but what I want to put your attention to is the fact that this stops like at the end of the year. We haven't seen any, not any that I've seen, and you guys haven't sent me any emails or comments saying that there were other ones. So we have like second coming quotes in general that have kind of like tapered off. We have 7s that have pretty much gone away unless I missed something. And then we also have Liahona articles. So this is another thing where in the course of producing content for this channel, there were a couple months where I can't remember exactly how it happened, but I know that there was like a month where I was like, is this normal? Or it seems like he's doing something with Liahona articles. I think it was along the lines of this, that I noticed that he would write a Liahona article during a significant month. So typically what you have is one article from one of the 12 or one of the first presidency. You usually have one article from one of them in each issue of the Liahona. Sometimes it's 2, and you can see that here. So like in December, it was President Nelson and Elder Bednar. In October, of 2018, it was actually 3. Elders Christofferson, Anderson, and Cook. Okay, so, but President Nelson specifically, I noticed that he would write an article during a significant month. So his first year, it was in April. April would have been his first general conference as president of the church. And by the way, he's only written one article for the Liahona per year. In 2019, I don't know, but he did it in December. So I'm wondering, is it because Christmas? I'm not sure. In 2020, his article was in April, and we know that general conference was what he termed a hinge point, and it was going to be not only memorable but unforgettable. And so many things happened during that general conference. Okay, and then in 2021, he did it in January. Not sure if there was anything significant, but when you think of January, you think about the fact that it's the start of the year, New Year's. In 2022, he did it in October, and this would have corresponded with the October General Conference of that year. And that's the one where he did this, what I think is a landmark talk, where he referenced the sign of the Son of Man. And I checked, no other president of the church has done that in General Conference. And then later in the talk, he called on us to be the people of the second coming. So I think that's why he wrote that article for the October issue. In 2023, it was in April, and there was this big emphasis on Palm Sunday. In that year, Palm Sunday fell during General Conference. 2024, he did it in October, and it was the October 2024 General Conference where he gave his Second Coming talk. And then, now look at this. This is what we're getting to right here. And then, only 2 months later, 3 months later, in the January 2025 Liahona, already we get another article from President Nelson. And when you go back, you'll notice that there's, pretty good spacing between each of his articles. This is the shortest amount of time in his presidency that we've gone between articles by President Nelson. And it corresponds with this, things going quiet. Again, just to remind you, Second Coming statements, quotes, it's gone quiet. By the end of 2024, beginning of 2025, it's gone quiet. With the sevens, it went quiet. The last one that I really have is from November. You do have the April one, but as far as items here that are similar, the last one would have been in November. And now we have these Liahona things. And again, I don't know why he felt the need to do it so soon. There's definitely going to be a reason. It doesn't seem like it's just random. It's not like, it's that time again. It seems like it's very calculated, and he chooses to write articles at significant times. So the question is, what's going on here? The only thing that we can say for sure is his October 2024 General Conference talk was really significant. And I think it's Elder Cook that pointed that out. He's like, we haven't had a Second Coming talk in General Conference like that for a long time, especially from, a president of the church. So, okay, so we have this. And then lastly, there's probably other things I could point to, but lastly, we have this interesting thing too. Okay, we started this video talking about the fact that President Nelson's 101st birthday is just right around the corner. And ever since I started my channel, I had my eyes on him turning 100. But one time, my wife was reading one of his social media posts, and when he was 99 years old, and he said, this is my 100th Christmas. He's 99 years old at that time, but it's his 100th Christmas. Again, this is the difference between ordinal and cardinal counting. So ordinal is when you're a baby and you ask that baby, how old are you? It's going to, if it could, let's say that the parent is answering the question. The parent would say, oh, he's not 1 year old yet. He's only a couple weeks old, right? So 0, not really 0, but not 1 yet. But if you were to ask, if you asked the child, is this your first year of life? And if he or she could answer, they would say, yes, this is my first year. This is the first time I'm experiencing Easter and Christmas and whatever. Okay, so you get it? So 99 years old, experiencing everything for the 100th time. Like things that happen, excuse me, things that happen on an annual basis, like holidays. So he's done a lot of that. He's done a lot of just in general calling attention to his age. And I don't think it's vanity. I know it's not vanity. I think that it's a sign to the church. And I know a lot of you think that too. Something special is happening. It seems like the Lord is extending his life, and not just his, but President Oaks, President Eyring, and President Holland. And I'm not going to pull up my spreadsheet right now for first presidencies, but this first presidency, all three of them are the oldest that we've ever had in the church, where all of them are 90 or older. They're like in their 90s, and with President Nelson in his hundreds. So something special is happening, and there's probably a reason for that. And I've speculated, it's a speculation, that President Nelson may be the first one, or in the first group of people to, as soon as the millennium starts, he would go from being in mortality and then changed in the twinkling of an eye to being resurrected. That's the new type of death. So he may not live in the millennium in his probationary state like you and me. Unless you're like 100 years old, you and me are going to be translated. We're going to be changed, but we're still going to be in mortality. It's a new type of body, but you're not resurrected yet, and you're still on probation. But when you're 100, that's when, according to Isaiah, I'm not going to pull up that scripture, and I'm not going to pull up the quotes right now, but it's confirmed by, Joseph Fielding Smith and Bruce R. McConkie. When you're 100 years old, that's when the change takes place, the new type of death. So this might be on President Nelson's mind. Another thing that might be on his mind is the fact that for some reason, him in his first presidency and also President Holland, their lives need to be extended because maybe there's certain things that they need to accomplish. Maybe this is the last first presidency before the second coming. They're the ones that lead us into the second coming. I've used the whole analogy before of Moses, who led Israel all the way up to the promised land, but it didn't enter it himself. In this case, I'm thinking of the promised land as being a symbol, a foreshadowing of the millennium. And then Joshua and Caleb, which were the only other two that were alive that started in Egypt, so they were old, they were the ones that led Israel into the promised land. Okay, so with all these things in mind, we've had a fair number of times that President Nelson has referenced his age, and Sister Nelson too. So look at this. Let's just read this for fun really quick. Sister Nelson, this is a church newsroom YouTube video interview with Sister Winnie Nelson in Chile. I've seen him, as I've said, be clearer about doctrine. I've seen him become younger. And then later on, she says, here's the other thing about him being 94. It does make the rest of us feel badly when he just gets younger and stronger. That might be a little bit more literal than you may think. I think that it is. But anyway, you can see all the times that I've took it down and put it on the spreadsheet. There's been a number of times. both ordinal and cardinal. Okay. But then the last time that I have, I mean, we're now past the halfway point of the year. We are now, this is now August. It's the end of August. So it's been a long time since we've heard him refer to his age, unless I'm missing something. If you have it, send it my way. And make sure to reference this video. The last time that we heard it, of all days, was on New Year's Day of this year. It was his social media post. And he talks about the living Christ, the testimony of the apostles, which was published on New Year's Day of the year 2000. There's a lot of interesting things to say about that, but we'll do that another day. And then later on, he says, as I celebrate my 101st New Year's Day, I continue to love the opportunity it provides for fresh starts, new perspectives, and new and renewed resolutions. So here he's doing the ordinal, the 101st New Year's Day. And that caught my attention the first time because I was wondering, like, before he turned 100 and when he was progressing through his 100th year of life, I was wondering, could it be that the scriptures mean it's not like when you turn 100 years old, but is it possibly sometime during your 100th year of life, like when you're 99 years old? I don't know. I don't know if that's why he's doing this, but anyway, with all these other things, it's just kind of stopped. You might say, well, it's because he's getting older, but I mean, last year he did a lot more of these things. You know, he was 1 year younger. I don't know. Maybe the leap from 99 to 100, maybe that's like a huge leap or something like that, and things get exponentially harder. I don't know. Maybe that's why. Maybe he's had to focus on other things. That could be it. But I doubt it. I doubt it. I feel like if you can do it at 98, you can do it at 99. If you can do it at 99, you can probably do it at 100. But what do I know? I haven't gotten to that point in my life yet. So again, just a recap, Second Coming quotes, they just kind of stopped. Sevens, it's just kind of stopped. Liahona articles, I mean, I fully expect him to write one next year. If he lives to next year, I'm sure that he'll do it. But as of right now, we have this unusual situation where not too much time went by since October, and he's already writing another one in January. And then this whole thing with making reference to his age, it just kind of stopped. Like these are a lot of things to kind of be in sync at the same time. I don't know what to make of it. I just want to point it out. I'm really looking forward to his birthday, in future birthdays. I'm very curious to see where this is leading. Are we going to see him get to like 110, 115, 120? I don't know. Just all I know is that these are unusual times. And something is happening, clearly. The prophet, the one prophet who has such a focus on the second coming is, he's going to turn 101. We've never seen this in the church before. Not in this dispensation. Okay. So I would pay attention to it. I have another video I want to do that has to do with his upcoming birthday. There's something coming up that seems to highlight his birthday, but it's going to be the subject of an entirely different video because there's a lot to talk about. But it's like, I feel like I'm on the edge of my seat. Like, I can't believe that this is happening in the first place, that we have a prophet that's about to turn 101. But just the prospect of what happens next year, the year after that, I don't know, but it's great. It's great. The Lord knows what he's doing. He's hastening his work. He's prolonging the life of his servants, and it's all for a reason. And we'll find out what that reason is at some point. Okay, well, that's going to be it for this one. I'll talk to you guys later.